there is a bit of an elephant in the room. Not in this room. Not like if there was an elephant, and you'd probably see the elephant. I mean, it's not that big of an apartment, but there is an elephant in the room, and that is your Detroit Lions. The Lions Sunday. I said it on the show on the live reaction. Put on one of the most pitiful performances I've seen in a very long time. That was, without a doubt, one of the worst games that I've had the displeasure of having to watch. Look, and I say that comparatively because I had to watch the Ravens game last year. That was pitiful as well. But that game, they just died. They were dead from the start. The game was never going to go their way. Everything was going up Baltimore. This game, however, if you look at the box score, if you look at the team stats, and you don't look at the final score of the game, you would have thought the Detroit Lions won by 40. That's what's so frustrating. You want to know what the Lions' total yards was? 463. You know what Tampa Bay's was? Not that. 216. 26 first downs to Detroit, 14 for Tampa Bay. Detroit was absolutely in their own way every single time. Leading receiver was Amon-Ra St. Brown. He had more yards than their leading receiver, who had basically all 117 of his yards in the first half, Chris Godwin. Amon-Ra had 119 yards. Leading rusher for the Bucs was Baker Mayfield. Jahmyr Gibbs had 84 yards on the ground. He had 50 more yards than their leading rusher, Baker Mayfield. Jared Goff had almost twice as many yards in the air as Baker Mayfield. And although he had twice as many interceptions as Baker, but threw the ball like a billion more, like 4 times as much. This whole game doesn't make a lick of sense. And look, I understand Lions last year, they lost week 2 as well at home to Seattle, a team that I think a lot of people going into that game thought the Lions were going to roll. They didn't. The reason this is different is because we are coming off of a year where this team did get better on the defensive side of the ball. Last year against Seattle, they couldn't get a stop. If they would have gotten one stop, they would have won the game. Or if they would have won the coin toss in overtime. This year, we've got back-to-back games where Jared Goff and the offense look absolutely putrid. At least last week against the Rams, they managed to put it together in overtime and finish the game off when they had the chance. But in this case, they couldn't get out of their own way. I mean, 7 for 17 on third down. Can't have it. Can't have it. Like, you can't have it. Comparatively speaking, you can't be losing a game when you can go 7 for 17, which is, not amazing, but it's also not terrible. But the other team goes 2 for 10 and they score 4 more points than you do. You can't have that. You can't have you having 83 total plays and you coming up with just 1 touchdown the whole game. You're telling me you couldn't, you're telling me on how many trips they had to the red zone? Where is it? 7 red zone trips. You couldn't get more than 1 touchdown? 1. Absolutely putrid. And you know what's so frustrating, what's so sad about this, is that now I have to hear from Lions fans about Hendon Hooker, about we overpaid Goff, about Ben Johnson is a con artist, and Dan Campbell. It was all in the, and I'm just standing here having to be the voice of reason, but now I'm upset with Jared Goff because all he had to do was put together one singular more drive of success, and we would have won the game. I was like Tyra Banks. I was
rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
That's how I felt after that game. Just Tyra Banks yelling at, I don't even remember what the context of that drop was, but I listened to it earlier today, and I was like, I got to use this in the segment because, wow. And it'd be one thing if this was, Bucks blow you out, they knock the doors off you, the whole team looks out of sorts. Unfortunately for Detroit, that was actually not the case because at least, again, I can just clean the slate. All right, bad game. Everybody had a bad day. It's not good. Everything going up. No. What happened was the offense for the Bucks was also basically anemic. They were a whopping 1 for 2 in the red zone. Now, that might seem like a high percentage of success, but that means they got to the red zone 2 times. The whole game. They got to the red zone 2 times. And yet they managed to score 1 more touchdown than you somehow. You were within the 20 7 times. They scored 20 points. You scored 16. Make it make sense. They had the ball for almost 10 minutes less than you did, and they managed to score more points. And on the defensive side, they were absolutely amazing. It was it was probably the best defensive showcase that the team has put on against a competitive team in the Buccaneers that I'd seen in a long time. Aiden Hutchinson right now is leading the league in sacks. And I mean, when I say the league, I don't mean every individual player. I mean, he is leading every single team in sacks. He has 5.5 sacks this year. 4.5 of them came on Sunday. And that is more than any singular team. I'm pretty sure that's still the case. At least it was the case on Sunday. It was not taking into account the Atlanta Philly game, but I'm going to live with that being the fact. And Brian Branch had a solid game. 5 solo tackles, had a couple of passes deflected, had an interception as well. Like, the defense keeps you in the ballgame. And somehow, some way, this offense says, you know what? I don't want to win this game. I want to make Mike mad. I want Mike to go on his show on Tuesday and yell about Jared Goff having a lower QB rating than his punter. To be fair, Jack Fox threw 1 ball. But still. That was a great throw, by the way, by Jack Fox. Like, and it's not just on Jared Goff. I want to make that clear because there's going to be people who are saying you're being too hard on Jared Goff. You're not talking about Ben Johnson. Oh, don't worry. We'll talk about Ben Johnson. Hey, so and Dan Campbell for that matter. So, maybe call me naive. All right. So after the game, I want to say it was either the day after or maybe it was post game. People were asking, hey, by the way, Dan, I don't know if you looked at the box score, but why did Jared Goff throw the ball 55 times when we have one of the best 1-2 punches in running backs in the league? Why did you do that? Why did he throw the ball twice as much as they ran the ball? Why did they do that? What was the reasoning? Well, according to Coach Campbell, apparently, it was they wanted to use the passing game to open up the running game. I don't know if maybe he's new to football. I'm gonna assume he's not new to football, but that's not how it works. You don't open up the run game by using the pass game because you can't play action a run. Right? Like when you do a play action, the whole point of the play action being so effective and the fake handoffs being so effective is because they don't want you to run the ball because you've been running the ball all over them. And then they see you about to hand off the ball to, let's just say, Jahmyr Gibbs or Dave Montgomery or whoever. And then, oh, shoot, Goff's keeping it. Uh-oh, Amon-Ra's got a step on me. Goff's going to get it to him. Touchdown, Lions. It doesn't work in the reverse. You don't just, like, I think the game plan that they had in mind was, oh, come on, the Bucs. They got nobody in their secondary. Jared Goff's going to feast. We could throw the ball 1,000,000 times, and we're going to get it done. Well, clearly that didn't work. And it wasn't working the whole first half. I don't know what possessed them to continue to do that. Like, you're in the fourth quarter, and neither team is scoring. Run the damn ball. Baker Mayfield can't move down the field with any amount of efficiency. He threw for less than 100 or less than 200 yards. He had a 90 QBR. He got sacked 5 times. For goodness sake, they couldn't throw the ball. So why are we like giving them more time when we could just bury them by having Montgomery run the ball, by having Gibbs run the ball? Like I don't understand how the mindset could have been, well, we're going to just open up the run game by passing the ball. That's not how it works. I'm not an NFL coach. I'm not an NFL player. This might be shocking to some of you, but I know that you don't open up the run game by passing the ball. You just don't. Jeez Louise. I could go on and on about this. And it's all the more frustrating when Amon-Ra had an amazing game, 119 yards and 11 catches. He had a great bounce back game. Shout out all the people who are getting mad because he got paid. He doesn't want to perform anymore. No, I think he can still perform. But None of it even matters when you're throwing red zone interceptions, when you're throwing interceptions on the first play of the game, when you're giving up drives because you don't know whether or not you're going to spike the ball or whether or not you're going to run the field goal unit. I don't know. Again, what was the plan? What was the mindset? What was Campbell telling him? And Campbell admitted this was on him, but what was being told? Did you again, this is rudimentary stuff, right? This is stuff that kids who play Madden know. And I know it's different in live situations. I know, I understand you're dealing with real people. You're not dealing with computer code. I get it. The principle still stands. Everybody in the stadium thought you were going to spike the ball there. Why did the special teams unit not think that? We're never going to know. And ultimately, it might not matter because it is still week 2 and the season is not over. I do think that this team is still very, very good. And it is simply just a matter of time, hopefully, that Jared Goff finally gets back to that form. Now, the fear is Jared Goff going to get back to that form? I heard a stat, this was apparently from PFF, his 2 worst games over the past few years since he's been in Detroit have been these first 2 games, which is all the more alarming when you think of, well, wait a minute, this team is way better than any of the teams he had prior. And yet somehow the past 2 weeks, he's had the worst games he's had. Now, I'm not entirely sure if that's accurate. I don't necessarily buy it. I mean, it's PFF, so you could take it or leave it. But to say I'm concerned about the offense would be an understatement. Especially now, next week you're going into Arizona, and Kyler Murray and the kid and Marvin Harrison, they look like that could be a top offense in the league. Now, again, it's week 2, so a lot of things can change very quickly. But you got to finish drives. And that is the ultimate, right? I cannot have another day where the team goes 1 for 7 in the red zone. You're not going to win a lot of games if you can score 1 touchdown in 7 red zone trips. You're just not. And this team hasn't lost 2 games in a row since 2022, I want to say. So it's been a long time. And so this team is certainly the kings of the bounce back, right? You have a bad game, you come back and you win it. This is going to be on the road. Arizona is not known for having a great fan base, but it's still on the road, and they're going to be playing in front of their hometown crowd. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people there rooting for their team that very well could have been 2-0 at this point, if not for losing to the Bills on the road. If I can leave if I can end this on a little bit of a positive, the bend don't break defense does appear to be legit. Again, Baker Mayfield was held to under 200 yards. Mike Evans, did you even play? He caught 3 balls for 42 yards. And that was probably the most that they could get. Chris Godwin was basically took over the first half. After the first half was over, you know what? They just gave up. they just said, you know what? We're done with offense. We're done. So there is that this offense or this defense very well could shut down a rookie wide receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr. They could shut down a good, albeit inconsistent quarterback in Kyler Murray, a guy who does sling the ball and can put it in dangerous spots a lot of times, but is a bit of an innovator. So I don't know how well Aiden Hutchinson is going to be able to do against a mobile quarterback like him, because Baker Mayfield is, no disrespect, a bit like a statue sometimes, despite the fact that he led the team in rushing, by the way. If the defense can continue to be this way, you're going to be in games. And defense is going to travel, right? The old adage of defense wins championships, I think, still holds supreme. I know there's a lot of people who say, no, it's all about offense. The league is so... You look at all the last few Super Bowl winners, up to and including the Chiefs of last year, most of them were top-tier defenses, right? You're comparatively speaking, the defense is going to travel a lot more, especially in the postseason when things really get tight, than the offense. Do I expect the Lions next week to drop a 40 bomb? Absolutely not. Would it reassure me that we actually do still have a top offense in the league? Yes, it would. So please, this is an Arizona team that was not a playoff team last year. might not be a playoff team this year, although I do think they could be. But they they're still we don't know. We don't even know necessarily what the future of what that situation is going to be like with Kyler Murray and whether or not he is truly their guy. I know he's already been paid, but things can change rather quickly in this league. I guess to end this fully, I will say that this game can be completely written off with winning the next 3 games in a row, right? Like going on a run here where you can flip the switch, right? And Aiden Hutchinson, to his credit, in the post game, he said something along the lines of, this kind of a loss actually could benefit us. This could be a wake up call for the offense, could be a wake up call for Jared Goff, could be a wake up call for the team as a whole. That if you want to be legit, if you want to make a Super Bowl run, which I think this team is capable of doing, you have to clean it up, and you'd rather lose in September than lose in January, right? So I'm on a concern level. I'm probably out of 10, probably at like a 4.5, where I'm overall probably not as concerned because we've been in this spot before recently and we've been fine. But still a lot of games to go. And you can easily, 1-1, and there's a lot of teams that are 1-1 that probably won't stay 1-1, and there's a lot of teams that are 2-0 that probably won't stay undefeated. On the other side of it, it is on Jared Goff and it is on Ben Johnson to make these adjustments. I really hope that the league has not, quote unquote, figured them out. I don't really believe in that sort of thing. I don't think like one day the league was like, oh, I get it. We just gotta tackle him when he's got the ball. See, I never even thought of it. It's like, that's not how it works. like they can watch the tape during the year. It's not like the whole year they're just like, how do we stop it? I don't know what they're doing. They're throwing the ball and the other guy's catching it and they're handing it out. I don't know what to do. Like that I think that is what some NFL fans do think. Like teams got to figure out. It's like, no, you can figure them out by watching the tape. It's not some. You have to be an idiot not to be able to figure some teams out and how to stop them. Anyway, that's my own ranting aside. We're on to Arizona. Mentally, I would like to be on to Arizona. And if we win the Super Bowl, this game will never be discussed. And if we don't win the Super Bowl, I also don't want this game to be discussed. If anybody brings this game up to me, I'm going to find them, go to their house, tie them up in a chair, and throw them down a flight of stairs. Assuming they have a flight of stairs. It could be a single story. They might not have a flight of stairs. Hi, it's me again. If you enjoyed what you just saw, hit the like and subscribe button. We do live shows every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you there.